Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got the Daniel Defense DDM4 V7. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis Axe and Core belts, linked to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links. It will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. Thank you. Kind of a long, hard to say name, but it's Daniel Defense. It's an M4 platform design and version 7. So this rifle is your classic AR pattern. Everything on here is mil spec from a design and specifications standpoint. What you see here is exactly the way it's delivered, with the exception of the Meprolite that I added, because this is a flat top, so it's meant to be used with an optic. But the handguard, the forward grip, everything that you see here is exactly the way I took it out of the box. So it comes typically with 32 round magazines. However, they're far too scary to show on YouTube, so I'm going to show you this 10 round version, but it looks identical. So the 32 round magazines that it's available with look identical to this 10 round magazine, and the 10 rounds are available if you happen to be in a less free state or want to show the magazine on YouTube, because you can't show them if they've got more than 30 rounds, I guess. So I'm going to set that aside. These are well constructed, well engineered, made in the United States, and they make all of their parts. So everything that on the delivered rifle is Daniel Defense's part. This is chambered in 5.56 NATO, and it also will shoot .223 safely. It's between 32.25 inches front to back to 35.88, depending on whether or not you extend or fully retract or go somewhere in the middle with the buttstock. This is an M-lock rail, so you can add any M-lock accessories that you want to. That forward grip that comes on it can be moved forward and backward to suit your need, or removed if you don't like it. One of the conveniences of M-lock is I also offer really good cooling, so that the barrel will actually stay cool. The barrel on this is 16 inches. It's a 1-in-7 rifling, and it's a 1/2 x 28 thread. So if you take the muzzle device off the end of it, the flash hider, you can put a suppressor or whatever else you might want to put on it. The frame and receiver are 7075 T6, and they're Type 3 hard anodized. So it's a really, really durable finish. Daniel Defense has supplied these at times, not specifically this one, but rifles to the military. And of course, when the military usage, where they're going to be used hard, you want the finish to hold up. So they do have a very durable, solid finish. Of course, this one is semi-auto, unlike the ones that they would send to the military that have that third, more fun setting on them. It weighs 6.2 pounds, so it's right about average for an AR. Maybe a little bit on the heavier side because it does have some more robust components. They've kind of got an interesting texture, and this is their hand grip that they design. And this texture is also found in the forward grip and on the back of the stock. This texture is really comfortable. It's grippy. It's kind of a softer, rubbery material, so it's not going to bite into your hands. But when you're holding on to this, you're going to stay holding on to it. A few of the other features it has: on the Picatinny rail, it has index marks. And typical of flat tops, it doesn't come with any sights. So if you do decide to get this or most of the flat tops, you either need to plan to buy sights or go ahead and put an optic. I put this Meprolite on there for now. I don't know if that'll be what we'll keep on it, but that's what's on it for the moment. And it worked quite well. I mentioned the flash hider at the front. It's got your standard AR style flash hider, but you could replace that very easily with a muzzle brake, anything else that you might want. This has an H buffer, or a heavy buffer, and it really does mitigate recoil very well. Not that 5.56 really recoils much anyway, but with that heavy buffer, it does a really nice job of keeping the rifle level and really mitigating the recoil significantly. The barrel on this is chromoly vanadium. It's chrome lined and cold hammer forged, and it's heavy phosphate coating. You can probably see that a little bit through the handguard. That heavy phosphate coating protects it against corrosion, and typically it's easy to spot phosphate because it looks dry, for lack of a better description. It's really, really, really flat looking finish, and that's very consistent with phosphate, and you can see a little bit of that pattern here. But the barrel is really designed to hold up well and be very, very durable. Found this easy to shoot well, and once we got the Meprolite dialed in, it was really easy to work with. On the other side of it, it does have an ambi safety. Magazine release is only on the one side, and the standard AR style slide stop slide release, or not slide stop, but a bolt release. And it does have a forward assist in the event that you need it. It also does have a shell deflector to keep the shells from hitting your face, and this door actually feels like it's polymer. So overall, it's a well-designed rifle. I'm going to show you the stock. The stock operates a little differently in that you grab this and then you slide it out and back. It does operate smoothly. I'm just not in a good angle for it, trying to keep it on camera. If I were doing this where I was actually shooting the rifle, it would operate very nicely. And it does lock in multiple positions, and it does have a pretty robust butt pad to mitigate the recoil. And it does come with two different ones depending on which style, they're different thicknesses you might want. Get this back in position. One thing I'll note on these, the manufacturer, they do quite a bit of testing that isn't normally required to meet the specifications, magnafluxing and other metal detection techniques to ensure there's no cracks or fatigue, especially in the barrel. So the testing that they do on these exceeds what's the requirement, and anything that doesn't pass that test would get rejected. So that guaranteed you're going to get a really solid, well-constructed rifle. It does have a bit of a flare on the magwell, make it a little bit easier to slide the magazines in. Mid-length gas system, low-profile gas block, is staked very well. I've looked at, inspected it, and it's staked very, very well. So you're not going to have any screws loosening up on either the gas block or on the bolt carrier group on the gas tube, which is one area that less expensive rifles sometimes kind of cheap out on, and over time things can loosen up and you start to have tolerance issues. I really do like this rifle. There's one thing I don't like, and these have become quite popular, and this is the ambi charging handle. This is their grip and rip charging handle, but there's a number of manufacturers that are making them, but they all have the same basic fatal flaw. There's a hook here that's necessary to keep the charging handle from getting loose and coming out, because if you bend this charging handle, you're basically going to render the rifle inoperable. And this hook is attached to these two ears, but these ears are also pivoted and attached to the charging handle. So as you pull on it, unless you pull on it just right, you actually start to pull the charging handle back before you actually begin to release the hook. So it tends to want to dig in. So as you pull on these, it's not smooth. It can be very cumbersome. In fact, right now I've got it where I'm pulling fairly hard and it won't go because I pulled too far in. I'm probably going to replace this with a conventional one. Not as exotic, not as cool. Of course, it only operates on the one side. But the difference is that as you pull it, before you actually put any tension on the charging handle and start to pull back on it, you're already pulling the hook back. Then it bottoms out and then you pull the charging handle. The big difference is the hook doesn't have an opportunity to dig in because it retracts more easily and doesn't put any tension on the charging handle. So if you do need an ambi charging handle, this is one of the more well-designed versions of it. But if you don't need that particular feature, you're going to find that a regular conventional one is going to be easier to reliably do, because then when you hook it, it'll go back every time. These can work, but you're going to have to train with it. You're going to have to get used to doing it right, catching it on the edge to make sure that you retract that hook before you put too much tension and the hook actually digs in. So of all the things, the features this rifle has, that's one that I probably will change. The only other thing that, and I can't find any reference to it on their site, but this does appear to be a free-floated barrel. All the mounting hardware is at the back for the handguard, and there's no support structures all the way down the length of it internally connecting this to the barrel. So I'm pretty sure this is a free-floated barrel. That's going to help you if you're doing more long-distance shooting. But didn't find that mentioned specifically on their site. I'm just looking at it from the way the support structures are set up, the way this handguard is mounted. There's also QD mounts in a couple different places. There's one at the back here, and there's one back here, one up here for a sling. So all the features that you want in a high-end AR are here. Now, speaking of high-end ARs, this comes at a high-end price. This particular one that you see here has an MSRP of $1870. They have different versions of them. Some of the other versions can go $2,500 and up, so they're not an inexpensive rifle by any stretch. So overall, excellent rifle, bit on the spendy side, but of course with the way things going lately, it may become difficult to get these things in the future. Getting a hold of one that's going to last and be durable might actually be beneficial in the long run. There are less expensive ones on the market that you can get, similar to, for example, the Springfield Armory Saint, which is a really nice rifle as well. If this is kind of out of your price range, that might be the next one to look at. One thing I almost forgot to do, which is demonstrate the trigger. So first I'll have to get this to cooperate. So it is charged. It has a very nice trigger. It's more of a combat trigger, but it's smooth. Put it on fire. A little bit of creep. Nice short break. Very tactile reset. You actually feel it and you hear it. You're right on the wall, and then the break again. So overall, it is a very nice trigger for a combat trigger. I'm going to go ahead and open it up because I had mentioned the staking on the gas block, on the bolt carrier group. So I'll flip it open. And you can see very distinct, well-formed, very accurate staking. These bolts are not going to back out and release the gas tube, and the same is on the gas block. Other than that, these all kind of look about the same. Well constructed, smooth, nice smooth machining, no burrs, no edges that don't belong. It's basically a very well constructed bolt carrier group, which you would expect in a rifle at this price. Reassembling it's just as easy. Pins on this are very, very tight, and in the beginning you may have to use a tool to push them to get them started, but other than that, it's not, there's no slop, there's no twist. The only twist you're seeing right there is that the stock can move a little bit, but there's no twist in the body. Everything is just nice and solid, so that accuracy should be maintained. You get your optic, whatever you decide, dialed in, the rifle's going to stay in the same place. The rail is a full one-piece rail, so the optic is going to stay in the same place, and you should be able to get repeatable groups with this thing. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, Getter, we're kind of everywhere. And thank you.